Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
How are you? You guys having a good time here?
Yes.
Anybody altitude sick? I've heard of that. No? One? I got one in the back. All right, so my name is Dallas Volk. I'm in the education department at Master Control. Some of you may have been in some of the classes I teach there. Today we're going to talk about analytics and reporting. So what I'm hoping you get out of this class is learning the tools to help you make useful reports, and then some of the tools that you can make those reports work for you. Here's our agenda. I'm going to talk about the standard report library, role rights, you need to do reports, tips for meaningful reports. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. The tools that we use to make reports: sorting, managing columns, filtering, charts, creating custom reports from our standard reports, how you can export those reports. I'm going to show you a way that you can put one-click reports on your landing page. That can be very helpful. How to schedule reports. So my manager needs a report every week for something. I can schedule a report that will send it to him every week. Rules. Rules are used for tracking and trending. So for you in the QEM world. So I have an event that shows up in a report, and if it happens, because of the frequency and the impact of it, it's not really that important right now, but if it happens often, it becomes to where we need to go to CAPA or something like that with it. I can set up a rule that if that event hits, say, 10 times, I can set a threshold. Hits 10 times, it's going to send me a notification and a copy of that report. And then throughout, I've got an example I'm going to use throughout this presentation. First thing I want to talk about is the standard report library. So with all of our modules, there's a standard report library. Those are, sometimes we call them canned reports, out-of-the-box reports. Those are reports that Master Control built to help you report on the different modules, whether it be portal, documents, process, audit. And then there's some different places that you can get access to those reports. And people will have different rights, so there'll be different places that they're going to have to access these reports. The easiest one is from My Master Control Analytics Reports, and that will show you a list of every report you have access to as a user. Also, if I don't want to filter through all those different module reports, I can go right to the module I want to go to, so I can go to Documents, Reports, and if I have rights, I can go to just the document reports, and it'll bring me up the standard document reports. And then if you have the process module in QEM, say for my complaint solution, I can set up a custom menu that will just pull up my complaint reports. So the role rights, for the portal role rights that you can give your users is for reports, they'll let them access the reports from the My Master Control menu. Customized reports, so if you have users that you want to be able to go in and make changes to reports, create their own custom reports, you give them the customized reports, right? And then scheduled reports. If you want these people to be able to schedule reports to go out to people, you give them the scheduled reports right. And then there's the module role rights. So if you go into each individual module, if I go into documents and I give them the document reports rights, they're able to go in and get the reports for documents. So let's talk about creating meaningful reports. So with reports, what you want to do is take data and tell a story. So what I want to show you is how to get that data you want to tell that story. So the way you do that is you find your criteria, and then you go to that module and look at our standard reports, find the report that closest fits what you want to report on. Then you go in and you use your tools, your add columns, add and remove any columns that data you want to arrange. Use your filters to filter out information that you don't want. Determine the required grouping and sorting. Go back and keep doing view the report to test the results. If you want to add a chart, you can add a chart to show a picture of the details. So remember, when you're doing a report, you want to tell a story about the data that you're presenting. And through these tools, you can get out that information that's going to clutter up that story. You don't want to muddy up your story. You just want a clear, concise report. So the report tools I'm going to be showing you today, one of them is sorting. What that does is it takes your columns of data, this is the most simple one, your columns of data, and it puts it either in an ascending or descending order. So if it's numeric, it'll be numerically ascending. If it's alphabetical, it'll be alphabetically ascending. You can do multiple sorts. So if you want to do sort by user's last name ascending, but I have a bunch of Smiths, so I want to do the first name ascending, I can do the last name ascending and then the first name ascending, and it'll start with the last name, and when it gets to those Smiths, we'll go to that first name and put those ascending. The only thing you have to remember is if you're going to do the double sorting, that whatever it's going to look at the top one first, and that's going to be the first one that it's going to sort off. So if you have first name above last name, then it's going to sort by the first name first and then the last name. So you would go to Manage Columns and move that column up higher. I'm going to go back to that real quick. So that's done here with the sort icon. The other ones we're going to talk about is Manage Columns. That's where we get the columns in the area we want them to be in. And the filtering. That's where you go and remove data out of there that you don't want. You filter data out. I'll talk about export. That's where you can export this report to either PDF or an Excel format, put it on your desktop, put it on a shared drive, whatever you want. The other thing I'll talk about, oh, it's not on this one, is the save. You cannot save over a standard report, but you can do a save as, and if you have rights, and make that a custom report. So when we get into managing columns, this is where you can add or remove columns. You can arrange the columns in the order you want going across your report. And what you'll do is you'll see a list of available columns and a list of currently selected columns. You'll pull information out of your currently selected, put it in from your available to get the data that you want. Also, the created columns, that's used for grouping your data. So if I want to group it by document type, I can do a created column on document type, and it will group that data. And you'll see that when we go through our example. So filters, that's where you can go in. Any field that you have in your available columns will be in the filter section of this. From filter, I can filter text fields. And this is, I'm not going to go over all these. These are the operators you can do. Ends with, contains, does not contain. Numeric fields have different operators, greater than or equal to. Date fields, we've got static and dynamic dating. I'll show you that when we get into our showing you a report. Duration fields, and then you can do multiple filter lines. So I can filter by this and by this and by this. You can do up to 5 for each one of those groups. And then you can also create charts. So if you want to have a pretty picture of your report to tell your story, we can create charts. There's a chart tool in Master Control. You have to have a created column for a chart. So if you wanted to know on training, how many pending training a trainee has, you have to do a created column on that on trainees, so that you have 2 sets of data to do a chart on. I've got the trainee and how many tasks they have. So that's why you have to do a created column to get the report. A chart. Oh. Okay, so I'm going to throw a scenario at you. Your manager calls you, says, I think documents are taking too long to get approved. The ones that are being drafted and the ones that are being created, they're taking too long. And I think the problem is in collaboration. I think we're spending way too much time in collaboration. There's no reason that a document should be in collaboration more than 2 weeks. I want you to give me a report of how many documents are in collaboration right now. Well, how many documents are in collaboration that have been in collaboration over 2 weeks right now? I want to know who hasn't signed off on those. So I've got some criteria that he's given me. He wants to know what documents are in collaboration, how many of those have been in there for over 2 weeks, and who has not signed off on it. So now I've got a picture for a story to tell. So I'm going to go to Master Control. So this is about documents. We want to know documents that are in collaboration. So I'm going to go to my reports for documents. If I come down here, you'll see there's reports. And I've got a list of all my out-of-the-box reports for my standard reports for documents. So now I have to look through these reports and see which one best suits the data that I need to tell a story on. Now I did tell you that there's a, did I tell you? If you go to the customer website under education, education reference material, it's unit 101D, and it is an Excel spreadsheet that shows you every standard report that's made in Master Control and what fields are available in those. So this can help you if you really can't find that report and you want to come in here and do a search function on this for what you're looking for. And if you look at the tabs across the bottom, you got them for portal, documents, process. So for documents, I can sit and look at all these reports and see what fields are in those. All right, so I'm remembering the criteria that my manager wanted for this report. I'll come here and I'll say, well, here's one for in-process packets. That probably covers the information I want because these packets are in process, which ones are in collaboration. So until I become really familiar with the reports, you've got two options here. You can go right to edit, which will take you to the filter field, or you can view the report. I always like to, when I'm not familiar with the reports yet, view the report to see what's there to filter on. So I'll go to in-process packets and view that report. So this is how the report looks, the standard report looks when you first open it. Now is where I want to start using my tools to build a report to tell my story. So the first thing I'm going to do is come into Manage Columns. This report doesn't have created columns, the created columns that I want. So I'm going to remove these created columns out of here. Now I get a better picture of what's in this report. So thinking back to my manager, he wants to know how many packets are in, how many documents are in collaboration for over 2 weeks. All right, so let's start with our manage columns and just get the data we want to tell our story. So one of the things he wants, and I always go from top to bottom of the most important data, and then the data that supports that underneath it. So the first thing he asked about was the document. So I'm going to put that document number up top. The next thing he asked about was just the ones that are in collaboration. So that's under step name, current step name, and I'll show you a trick. If you just want to go where you want it to, down to that item, click the down button, it'll put it there. When you get into solution reports that have hundreds of available fields, that's very helpful. Then he wanted to know who hasn't signed off on these documents yet. So that's that user ID. And I'll keep the notification date in there because he wanted to know over 2 weeks. So I need to know when they were notified. So I'm going to leave that notification date in there. I'll be able to see when these people are notified so I know when that 2 weeks is up. So all the rest of the stuff is fluff for me. I'm going to get rid of it. So now let's look at our report. I click the Submit and View button. You see it's only showing me 15 results right now. That's because up here in this corner it says Viewing Records 1 through 15 on page 1. So if I want to see the next 15, I've got to click on that button, move to the next 15. If you want to see more than 15 at a time, I can change this 15 up to 999. So to show you that, I'll just throw this in here. I just want to see 500 results on one page. And now you can see I have 500 results. So I'm only interested in the ones that are in collaboration. That's the data he wanted. He says, we think we're spending too much time in collaboration. I want to see that. So I want to filter everything out of here except collaboration. So I can come to my filter. And there's my filtering tools. So I look at the current step name. That's what I'm interested in. Current step name, and then I want to use what the operator is going to be for that. For me, it's going to be contains, but I can do does not contains, ends with. I can take nulls out of fields if I don't want to see any of the data that has nulls in there. I can take that out. So I'm going to do contains. I'll just put CILL. That's not going to get me anything. COLL, because it contains. Now here's where people get confused. This is going to be an excellent tool for you when you get back. So if I wanted collaborate and group approve, collaborate and approve, if I click the plus button and I put in here step name contains approve, you would think that I would get my collaborate and approve. You would be wrong. This makes this an and statement. So unless you've got a step that is called collaborate and approve, then nothing's going to show up. So you're asking yourself, how do I make this an or statement? I'm going to get rid of that. Anytime you want to make it an or statement, you just use a comma. So I want collaborate and approve. You don't use any spaces or anything. So now if I did my filter result, it's going to look for all the step names that are collaborate and approve. So that's how you make an and statement.
That's a for? Oh, I thought that was a for statement.
I mean, I'm sorry, an or statement.
Okay, thanks.
You don't want an and statement.
Right.
That makes it, the comma makes it an or statement. I'm really just interested in collaborate.
Was there a space after your comma?
No.
There's not, so in this one in contains, it does not matter because it's looking for anything in there that has APP. But if it was, is equal to, unless your field started with a space, it wouldn't show up. So don't use spaces in your, after your, yeah.
Essentially for or statements.
Pardon me?
No spaces and commas for or statements.
So for or statements, use the comma, don't use spaces.
Can you search on a particular string by using quote marks? Like if you're looking for exact wording, can you do that?
No, that's where the operator comes in.
Okay.
So you would put equals rather than contains.
Okay.
So let's see what I've got now. If I do a submit and view. There we go. So now I have all of my documents that are in collaboration right now. But there was more to this story. Only the ones that have been in there for over 2 weeks.
Why does the current step name have all these different configurations of collaboration? Isn't that step?
This is off of our training, our education environment.
Uh-huh.
So this is actually out of a training class. So this is just things that people have made. Okay, so I'm only interested in the ones that have been in there for over 2 weeks. So back to my filter. Anytime you have a date field, you'll have these for filtering dates. So you can filter into a certain area. I want to see in the last 2 weeks how many documents have been generated. In our case, we're going to see anything that's older than 14 days. So there's 2 ways you can do this. One is I can come to my calendar, and if I want to see what has been generated for the last 2 weeks, say, I can come back 2 weeks on my calendar. So come back to the 25th, and then go to today. Now it's just going to look for any notification date between, that was when they were notified between the 25th of September and the 9th of October. So that's an actual date field. But we have dynamic dating. So right now, if I wanted to put this on a scheduled report and send it out to my manager, it's going to be the 25th of September to the 9th of October every time he opens it. When he opens it in February, it's still going to be that same date range. So we have dynamic dating. With dynamic dating, so I want to see everything that was launched 14 days ago. So I just put in 14, hit enter. Calendar will take me back 14 days. I select that. And then I want my ending date to be whatever day I'm opening this report. So I'm going to go to my calendar, put dynamic, and today's date. Now see, they're no longer dates, they're formulas.
Can you just type in the formulas? or
Yes, you can. If you know what the formula, when you get familiar with these, you can just type them in. So now it's a formula. So now on February 2nd, when he opens this report, it's going to be the data from February 2nd back 14 days. So my data is a little different. I want to see collaboration packets that have been in process for more than 2 weeks, that have been in that step for more than 2 weeks. So I'm going to use my dynamic dating. And I'm going to go since the beginning of time, so I'll go back 5,000 days. And then I want the ending notification date as 2 weeks ago. So, dynamic, 14 days ago, which is the, now it's just going to look for collaboration, documents in collaboration that were from the beginning of time to 14 days ago. Yes?
Question, what is the limit on the value in that field? As time, which obviously goes longer. Beginning of time for 5,000 could be about.
I do not know the answer to that question. I put 10,000 in there and it's worked, so I don't know what the limit is. All right, so I'll do a submit and view. So now I've got a pretty good story to show him. I've got my documents that are in collaboration, that have been in collaboration over 2 weeks, and who has not signed off on those yet? Who's holding those up? So now maybe I want to make a pretty picture on a graph with this. So now that you see right here our chart details is grayed out. It's because we don't have, go ahead.
Dallas, that notification date, how do you differentiate between those that have signed off versus those who have not? Because both get notified.
Well, they're not going to be a user in the collaboration step if they've signed off on it. It's not going to show them as a notified date.
So there's an assumption that these are all in process packets.
That's because this is the
Not historical.
in process packet report. Yes.
Maybe a better example would be, let's say it's on an approval step,
Mhm.
process on approval, and you have 5 people in parallel, and 3 have signed off, 2 haven't. I'm not familiar enough to know how to filter out. I want a list of the 2 that haven't signed off, not the other 3.
That's what this is going to show you because they're the only ones still left in this step.
Well, in an approval route, they'll still be on the step. It's just, it would show them as having completed.
Yeah, it doesn't do that in the report. It'll just show you the ones that are still in that step.
They'll be on the route still, but not in the step.
They're no longer notified, they're signed off.
So you see my chart details are grayed out? That's because I don't have 2 sets of data to do a chart out of. So what I want to know is, my data I'm going to go off of is how many is the documents and how many people still need to sign off on it. So I can come to my managed columns. And I want the document number, and this is where I'm going to create a column. That's where I use this icon right here, create column. So I'm creating a column on document number. I want the count, and I want the count by document number. The count is going to be off of the users. So if I submit that, I'll do my submit and view, and now you see it's done a grouping for us. Document, who needs to sign off on it? Document, who needs to sign off on it? And each document will be in their grouping. But by doing a grouping, now I have two sets of criteria to do a chart off of. So there's my chart details there. So I will show you our chart tool. So this is our chart tool, and with this you can change the size of your chart, how it looks. You can label your chart, you can label your axes, change your text. You can choose different types of charts to use. I've got 7 different types of charts. I've got an area, a bar, a horizontal bar, a line, a pie, a step, and a scatter. I'm going to stay with this bar chart. I'm going to name my chart Collaboration over 2 weeks. For my x-axis is going to be the documents. And my y-axis is going to be the number of people to sign off. So I will submit that. And now I've got a nice chart showing all my documents that have been in collaboration for over 2 weeks and who needs to sign off on those. So if I go here, for this risk managed document, still 2 people need to sign off on that. That one has 2, the other ones have 1. Also with charts, I can do drill down charts. So if I want to drill down and get more data out of this, I can do that using a drill down chart. To do that, I have to create another column. So if I want to drill this down and see actually who still needs to sign off on this, I would go to Manage Columns, and I want to know my user ID. User ID count, and it's putting me a document number, but I want it by user ID. I want to know how many users are in each of these groups. So I'm going to have to do a submit there. Now I've got another created column. You'll know that you've got created columns because they'll have an asterisk by them. So submit and view. And sometimes the report refreshes faster than the chart, so you'll see a refresh button at the bottom of your chart there. Now you see I've got my chart, and then I've got an icon here that says click chart to drill down. Yes?
I was wondering, are you a developer by chance?
I am not.
I was just thinking, wouldn't it be a dream come true if instead of having to modify the filter, you could click on that bar and have it drill down?
That would be awesome. Everybody know about user voice?
I mean, there's apps that do that. I can't think of anything right now, but you've seen them out there where you see the graph. And
so when you come up with brilliant ideas like this, go to user voice, because me telling them this is a great idea doesn't have nearly the weight of a customer telling them this is a great idea. So user voice in your customer
brilliant's
website.
a strong word, but I appreciate your confidence. I'm just a layman,
So let's go with, if you have a better than average idea like this one.
That's more accurate.
So now you can see I've got this document here, this CMP020. Who has not signed off on that? So I can click and I can drill down, and apparently Gilligan and Katie Pace have not signed off on this document. So if you want to get back to your top level chart, I have somebody do this in every class that I have. They'll go and they'll hit this revert button. Don't do that. That takes you back to the way you originally opened this report. So all your filtering, all your managed columns will be gone. Yes?
If you run into one of these reports that you really like that you want to email to someone, how would you do that?
I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes.
Hey Dallas, could you just do one favor? Could you Could you add in the completed date column, that report? Just to convince me that some of these people haven't already signed off?
If I had a completed date, I would do it.
But it's in process.
It's in process. It's in process.
Is that what I'm hearing? everyone say?
But mine doesn't work that way, where I give my in-process, my in-process includes those that have signed off and those who have not.
There's a similar report in the portal reports, which is tasked by user, which will show what you're describing.
Maybe that's what I'm hearing. Okay,
Okay, look,
I'd have to filter out the user status is completed,
okay,
the type of
I'll try that, thank you.
so the way you go back to your top level chart is up here you'll see you're currently viewing that document from the home. You'll just click on that blue home icon there and it'll take you back to your top level chart. So there's how you use those tools in Master Control to tell your story. I think I have a pretty good story here. I've got this many documents that have been in collaboration over 2 weeks, and if I click on any of those, it'll show me the people who haven't signed off on it yet. So now my manager can start thumping on people that you're not signing off on documents. Okay, now what do I want to do with this chart? He said he just wanted to see this. So this is going to get to that email question. I can export this chart. So I can export to Excel or PDF. If I just want to take a nice, pretty PDF picture of this, I can click the PDF button, save this PDF to my landing page, to my home page on my computer, do an email, grab that PDF, send it to my manager.
But neither one of you.
If it's a PDF, will they be able to go down into?
They will not. So you'll want that chart on the level.
Or can I guess the question? But I dealt with Excel.
Mhm.
Can you export charts in Excel? It's not data behind it.
So the PDF will take the picture of whatever level you've got your chart on and your report data. If you export it to Excel, it's going to dump the chart. Excel's got its own chart tool. It'll not bring the chart over to Excel.
So can you export both of them, the drill down one to PDF and that one?
Separately.
Send
Yep.
them to PDFs?
Yes, absolutely.
Dallas, what's the Excel in
So if you've got 1 million line items in there and you only want to bring in 10,000 at a time, you can set an Excel limit so it's only going to bring in 10,000.
Sir, I think the intent of the question at this point is, from this chart, how do I glean effectively and quickly whom would I email this to, say, get on the ball? In other words, that's what we're talking about.
Okay, my story right now is that my manager just wanted this report.
Okay.
So I'm sending this.
You're
I'm
right.
just sending this to my manager.
Okay.
We'll get into how we can do that in a little bit. How we can send it to other people. So when we open this up, this was a standard report. So notice there is no save option. We cannot save over a standard report. But we can do a save as and make this our own report. So I can go to save as. And I'll give it a name.
And right now the only options are public or mine. I can't create it for somebody else and just give it to them.
No. So I actually had that same problem where somebody wanted a report.
Because I write them a lot for different departments.
Right, so-
And then
so
I
my-
have to do
My
three
director
things to
couldn't
get to 'em.
do anything with a report. So I created a report for him, made it public, and then told him go on there, open it up, and then do a save as on that report as your,
And then take it off.
and then I took it off the public.
Okay, that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
I was
and then I
hoping it sometime or other we could give it to someone.
So you can see that's our options here is for this report. By default, it's not going to be public, which means only your login can see this report. If I check that and make it public, anybody who has access to document reports will be able to see this report.
Dallas, I have a question. I've had issues where I write reports to people and the report's always based on my access. By having them save as and create as their own, does that change it to their
They will
access?
still only be able to see the vaults that they have rights to.
But it keeps it to their access, so.
Right.
I had a report I wrote for another site actually, and once I lost my U access, the report broke. If I had them save it as their own, then they would retain.
That I'm not
Yeah,
sure
so-
on. I'd have to look into that. I've never had that scenario come up.
Good.
We can maybe take that offline and do some testing. All right, I'll go ahead and make mine public. Do a submit. My result was submitted successfully. And now when I go to my document reports, there's my over 2 weeks for collaboration report.
Is there a way to, when you go into reports, that you can have them sort in the order that you use most frequently? Like if you're pulling up 4 reports every week, you would want those at the top, as opposed
There is not a way to do that, but I'm going to show you another. I'll show you about one-click reports in here, which are, if you're using them very frequently, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I'll show you about one-click reports that are really cool.
Or just put a number in front of the
Yeah,
name.
put the.
Yeah. One, yeah, there you go. Or you could do that.
Sure.
So I send this to my manager, and he says, yeah, that's really great. He goes, now I want you to update me every day on what that, I don't want to see the report again, but I want you to update me every day on what the status of this is. So I'm going to show you how to make this a one-click report. This is going to be using links to link your report to your landing page. So this is just the instructions on how to do that. I'll leave that on there. This will be on the website later when they publish this. So I go to this report a lot. He's got me going to this report daily. And I'm tired of coming to documents, finding my report, clicking on it, bringing it up. I'm going to show you a way to do one-click reports. So, using my links, I'm going to put a link in here for this report. I got one step ahead of myself. I actually have to go to the report first. So let's go to the report. I'm going to open that report. So when your report opens, you'll see that there is a URL line for that report. What I'm going to do is go up to that URL line and I'm going to copy it. Just do a Control-C. And then I'm going to close that report out. Now I'm going to come to My Links and Manage Links. I want to create a new link for this report. And the link type is going to be external because I'm putting a URL in there. So I'm going to paste that URL in for that report. And then I'm going to title my what this link is. And then I can put a link description in there if I choose to. I can make this public or private, so I could make this link public and my manager could put it on his landing page. I'll leave mine private for right now. And then I can associate an image with that so that it's easier for me to know what that report is. Right now it's just going to look like this document. No, but you can. So if I go to make it public, if I just click the make it public, then anybody can go into my links, find that, and put it on their homepage, on their landing page. But I can also add that to everybody's homepage. So if you did one for all your SOPs that are in the release vault, you did a report on that, you can make it public and it would push that onto everybody's landing page. So I picked a little koala as my icon, so I know every time I see the koala, I can go to that report. Yes?
When you say that, if you have a report that's public, does it filter by enterprise or is it public with every?
It goes across enterprise.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
Really? That's what I was afraid of.
So if
else like that, even if you're not able to report public, put an image up there. Everybody else sees that image.
I will tell you a story about that. So I've done my, if you've been in my training class, you've heard this story, because this actually happened to me. So you see that little koala bear? This came out, I think, in version 8, where you could put the picture on your link. And the people in my facility that I work for a medical device facility, they thought that was awesome. They had all their little icons on their landing page with pictures. But we had this little co-op engineer that was working for us, and he thought that these pictures were only available to him for his login. So he put a picture of his girlfriend in this real slinky bikini on there and put it on his landing page. What he didn't know is that that is not just available to him, it's available to everybody. So it was not 2 hours before 80% of our male population had a picture of his girlfriend on their landing page.
And there's no way to remove it.
There is no remove. We had to call tech support. They went into the code, found out where that picture lived, and took it out. So please pass that on to your users. You know, you put something on there like "my boss sucks" or something like that.
Everyone has it.
Yes, everyone has it. That one would probably be a popular one too.
It's nice and anonymous, you don't know who wrote it.
Tech support does.
Well, I ended up sending out a company-wide email about that scenario, and he came over to me and fessed up that it was him that put it on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that. And then I have to come into my homepage links here, and I have to add that to it, since I didn't force it onto everybody. Okay, there it is. So now, on my landing page, I now have this report. I don't have to go to Documents, Reports, find that report, open it up in there. All I do is when I log in, I just click on my little koala bear, and my report pops up. So I want to give you a great example of what one of our customers did at their facility using these one-click reports. For some reason, their users had struggled. They struggled with searching and using organizers. I don't know why, they just did. So what she did was she created a report for documents. So like for building product 1, there was a bunch of documents for building product 1. And she brought in JPEGs of different colored folders, like red, just icons, red, blue, green, yellow, orange. And so she put in all the documents for building product 1, did one of these one-click reports, put it with a red folder, and put it on everybody's landing page. That way, you know that there's links to documents inside the reports. That way, the people building these product 1, when they got into master control, they just clicked the red folder. It brought up all the documents that they needed for building that product. They click on the link to that document and it opened it up. She did that for product 1, product 2, product 3, for quality SOPs. Turned out to worked really well for her. She said that, she had to dummy it down to where it was color coded, but she got something that worked. Yes.
In a scenario like that, that's still a dynamic report. Like if, let's say she's filtering off the vaults or something.
This is always going to be a dynamic report. When you click on that, it's going to be just as if you went to Documents, Reports, and open that report up.
Okay, so your report has the date,
Right.
so it's dynamic. But even if I was just filtering on a vault, or
That's what she did. She built it on the release vault, so they only got the release documents for that product line.
but it's current at the time. that
Absolutely. Every time you click that and open it up, it's the latest data.
So can someone who has that link on their desk, on their landing page, open that report and edit it the way you did? Or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then
But
save it as a different name? And
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But when they close it out, and the next time you open it up on that link, it's still going to be the same report of what you.
But they still have to have rights to reports.
Yes,
too.
right. All right, so now my manager, he's asked me to look at this every day and call him. Now he says, you're not keeping up on this, and you're not calling me, and when you do call me, it's too often. Dude, just send me the report every week. All right, I can do that. But instead of me taking this report and PDFing it and emailing it to him every week, I'm going to send this to my manager every week. If you go under My Master Control Start Task, you'll see one that says Scheduled Reports, if you have the rights to do scheduled reports. So this is Scheduled Reports. I can come here and I can create a new scheduled report. Task name, this is my collaboration over 2 weeks. What report do I want to use? I created that report that shows me my documents in collaboration over 2 weeks. Email subject. What's going to happen is it's going to email a copy of that report to a person periodically. What do I want in the subject line of the email when they receive it? And then the email body. This is when they open up the email, more information you can give them about this report. So this is the report you asked for about all collaborations over 2 weeks. Do what you will with it. And then who do I want to send it to?
Who is smart?
Like I said, this is from a training class. And I can send it to a user or a role, this report. So there's my manager right there. And then the next piece of this, so I've got that report's going to go out. My future start date, when do I want this report to go out? I'm going to go to this calendar and I'm going to send it to him on Mondays. How often do I want to send it to him? Send it to him at 8 a.m. And here's my options of how often I can send it to him. If I choose none, it's just going to send it that one time on the 14th of October. I can choose years, months, weeks, days, hours. That's where you can really give it to your manager. Send that to him every 2 hours. Keeping you up to date, boss. And it looks like you're doing a lot of work, too.
Just gotta go in and change the message every now and then in the body.
So I'm going to send it to him every 2 weeks, like I said I would. Oh, well, I said every week, didn't I? Every 1 week?
Every 1 week.
Every week. And then what format do I want to send that to him in? My manager can't handle Excel, so I'm just going to send it to him in a PDF format. Nice, pretty picture.
Does it factor into account time zones?
Well, it's your time zone, isn't it?
This one is going to be on the time zone that you got set up for
Your
you.
time zone, but not necessarily your boss's time zone.
That's true.
So if he's on the East Coast, I'm going to
Is it always going to go through your, and just give me a top level chart then?
Yeah, or whatever, yeah. If you're
Sure that's your memory chart.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And you can see here I've got my over 2 week collaboration over 2 weeks. That's the report it's using. That's the schedule name, scheduled by me. It's going to go out on the 14th of October. It's going to go out every week.
And you don't have to launch it or anything, just once you've saved it.
Once you save it, it goes. If you go in and make changes to your report, you add another field, the next time it launches that report, it'll have that field in there. I can also come in here and edit this. So if I want to add somebody else as a recipient, I can come in here and edit that, put that person's name in. The next time it schedules that report, it will have that. It'll send it to that person.
So it's linked to that report. So if I change the title of that report somewhere, it's still linked to that report.
Mm-hmm.
It's internal pointer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So will the email that they receive look like a regular email, or will
It's going to look like
a master control email with a task for them?
It won't have a task. It's going to look like a regular email, but it'll be from master control, and it'll have that subject line in it.
Okay.
and it will have an attachment of that PDF report.
Can you send this email out to any email user without Guest Connect, or does it have, can you actually put an email address in there?
No, you have to use, if you do not have Guest Connect, it can only be somebody that's in Masterstroke. That's the only place where the email is. You can use this with Guest Connect. So if you had a list of non-conformances for a supplier and you wanted to send to them that report, you can put them in as a Guest Connect and send a report to a guest.
But they still have to log on Guest Connect in order to see the report, or it's just in their email?
No, it's attached.
It's in their email, and then they click up in the
PDF,
email.
the PDF it's just like any other attachment you get in an email. That PDF report is going to be the attachment.
So how come they can't go just to an email address?
Because scheduled task is going to your user ID to find that email. Who it's going to, because you're putting a person's name in. All right, so that's how you do a scheduled report. Now my manager is going to get that report every week, an up-to-date report. So when right before it goes to launch that, it goes and takes a snapshot of what that report looks like right now, sends it out.
Is there anything in the system that shows that it was sent every week?
There is, but I'm not sure how to get to it. There is something that shows that an email task was sent. I'm not sure how to get to it though.
If there's an issue with a scheduled task going out, that show in an error log?
Yeah, but that would be through your tech support call.
I always just also put myself on when I do that, I'll make sure.
Yeah, there you go. You put yourself on it. Then you be getting. I set up a lot of reports, so I don't know if I would do that or not. So, I mean, it's like Ron Popeil's rotisserie oven. You just set it and forget it. It's going to send it out every week for the next, until I turn it off. And I can come in here and I can just go in and make it inactive by editing it, or I can delete that scheduled report out altogether. This was really helpful for me. I got in one of our ISO registrar came in and said that we weren't pinging our people enough on training. So I set up this for every one of my supervisors for pending training that for subordinates that they have, and send that out to them every 2 weeks. So, and it's really easy to do. I had 22 supervisors I sent it to. I created 22 reports and 22 scheduled reports in about 20 minutes.
Is there a way to look at the reports that are going out every week and then somehow quantify, say, the first 5 weeks you've got 10 reports that are out over 2 weeks, and then after a month of notification it drops down to 1 or 2? Is there a way to quantify that along the timeline?
There is not, unless you're sending this to your manager in Excel and he's saving that and pulling the data over. So no, there's not.
Or just make a bigger report.
Yeah, you can go with, or make 2 reports. I don't know. All right, so my manager's been. Oh yeah, go ahead.
A couple of things that I discovered just by chance. When reports don't go out on schedule like they're supposed to, it took me days to figure out that I had somebody's email I mistyped in their email address.
And their user?
So, and their user ID. So it wouldn't send it out to anyone. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with that. So look at everybody and make sure that you don't have a new user that you mistyped their email address wrong. And the other thing is we have an analytics server, and if you use the analytics server, the links to your PDF generated report do not work. Because it's a copy in a different environment, and so it doesn't go to.
Did you report both of those? Did you report both of those to last week?
Yeah.
I actually heard about that the other day that they're working on that. All right, so I've been sending this report to my manager every week. He calls me on the phone and says, "You know what? I'm tired of this report. It's looking good now." He goes, "I only want to know if we get over 10 documents that are in there for over 2 weeks. You know, I'm tired of getting this report every week for this 1 or 2 documents that have been in there or none. I only want to know if that number gets over 10. If there's 10 documents in there that have been in collaboration over 2 weeks, I need to know." So now either I'm back to on my landing page and hitting my one-click report every day, see if that ever gets to 10, or I can set up a rule. For my quality people in here, rules are awesome for tracking and trending quality events that are too low in frequency to worry about going to Kappa now, but if they get higher, we have to go to Kappa. Great tool for this. So there's 3 rights in master control for rules. Rules is an add-on. So if you have all access, you have rules. If you do not have all access, then this is an item you need to purchase. So the rights are My Rules, which enable the user to go in and create a rule. My Rules Advanced, which allows a person to go in and modify their own rules, or modify any rule that they're in the step on, and that they're a notification person on. And then the last one is the Rules Administrator. That person can go in and modify any rule in the system. There's all the stuff about creating a rule that will show up on your, when you look at this presentation on the website. I'm just going to show you how to do it. So with the My Rules right, what you can do is you can go to My Master Control, and under My Settings, you'll see an option that says My Rules. Hopefully this is turned on. Nope. All right, so there's a rule. So the name of the rule. So my manager's worried about if I get 10 documents in collaboration for over 2 weeks. So my rule is going to be over 10 collaboration. I find that report that I had, and I set a threshold. So my results greater than or equal to 10. I put in an email subject, reach collaboration threshold, email body, and who do I want to go to? So I wanted to go to me and my supervisor. So I can come in here and check that it's going to go to myself, and it's going to go to my supervisor. So the one thing I have to do is make my email mandatory, and I need to enable my rule right now. So right now, if it gets 10, it's not going to do anything. I'm going to enable this rule now.
Sir,
Yes.
maybe I missed it, but this is a point where really what I want to go to is, instead of my manager having to handle this data and notify those folks, is there any way that they can drill into who the emails of those folks who are 2 weeks overdue?
So that's a little too dynamic because I do not know who those people are. And it could be different case by case.
You're right, but what you're telling me is that that's not a capability of the software.
That is not a capability of the software. Now, once it sends out this report, you can, so the manager is going to get this and he wants to
Go look at it.
He wants to light these people up. He can forward that report on.
So on this page where you've got your report identified, you've got a second drop down. Is that Creative Commons only?
That's where I can pull off of different results. So I want it off of document number.
But any Creative Commons is what it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just noticed it was there.
So when I get over 10 documents in here that have been in collaboration more than 2 weeks, something's going to happen. And that's where you come down to who it's going to go to them. I'm going to send this in a PDF report. And for the future start date, you can just choose today, because it's not going to send anything out until it reaches its threshold. So as soon as it hits 10, it's going to launch that out. I can also put a frequency on there if I want. So I want to keep monitoring that every week after. So I've got 10, and next week I've got 12, and the next week I've got 15. Then I can put it on a schedule to where it keeps sending that out. But the trigger point's going to be when it reaches its threshold of 10. It's going to send an email to me and my manager with a PDF copy of that report, showing what documents have been in collaboration for more than 2 weeks.
So you roll the frequency, essentially.
What's that?
Roll the frequency, essentially. So if you're saying, once it gets 10 reports, it's going to send this report out?
Yeah, so if it goes back down to 8, it's going to turn it off.
Right. So it won't follow you
No.
every 2 weeks or every.
So now I have a rule set there. So instead of me going to my report every day and seeing if I've hit 10, I just sit back, drink my coffee, wait for my email. Manager thinks I'm brilliant.
How often is it going to check?
It's gonna check daily. It's gonna go in there and look at that report.
So it's once a day.
I believe so. Yes.
So you're supposed to get that email once a day. Instead of once a
Not if
day.
you didn't set your frequency.
Yeah, oh, well,
And so if you hit your threshold at 10, early in the day, drop to 8.
You're only gonna get that one. Well, so if you have not turned off your rule, if you've not disabled your rule, then it drops below and then comes back up to 10. It's gonna fire off at you again.
So if you've set a frequency, does it limit it to not more frequent than that?
So the frequency will only be if it's above the threshold.
So it just takes a picture of that time, whatever
Yeah.
time you set for it to look at, right?
Whatever the time the system is set for. There's also another cool feature with this for do I have any quality geeks in here? My quality geeks? I'm proud, say it, I'm a quality geek. You'll see here, there's nothing in this launch task right now. Has anybody using process? All right, so if I get to 10, say this is for some kind of complaint type, and I get to 10, and we determined that when we get to 10, we want this to go to issue review. With this launch task, I can go into my issue review form and set up a scheduled form and have it rule defined, set that up as rule defined, and then come back into my rule and choose that rule defined issue review that I set up, put that in there. When I hit my threshold, it will automatically launch the issue review form for that issue. So when you're in your issue review and you have a problem, and it's only happened one time, your frequency is low, and you decided we're not going to take this to CAPA, and we click the button that says we're going to track and trend, this is one way that you can track and trend. So we said we're at 10, we're going to launch another issue review. We get to 10, it automatically launches that issue review for me.
Where's the time set?
Before it launches again,
yeah, can you split up to the
10, and then 5 to 12, 5 to 12.
what's this frequency at the bottom?
that's if you wanted to keep sending you. I've got it set up right now where it's not going to be on a frequency. I've got it set up right now that when it hits its threshold, it's just going to fire this to me once. Now, if I want to keep getting that, so it's going from 10 to 11 to 12 to 14 to 20, and every day I want to see what it looks like now, then I would set that for a daily frequency. And as long as it's above that threshold, it's going to keep sending me a report every day, an email every day.
So you'd still get one every time it went from 9 to 10, over and over.
Unless
and
you
over
come in here and turn this rule off. So that's what I would do is once it launches that issue review, or once I get my task, I would come in here and I would disable my rule, and then I don't keep getting I've reached my threshold, I have to do something. I know there's a problem. I can come in here and disable that. So it's a question and answer time. Sorry, I got out of here a little early. My goal here was to show you all the tools for reports and how to make those reports work for you. I think I covered that. If you have any questions about reports, now's the time.
Were some of those features not on version 8?
Yes, I'll get you a list of what came in on version 10. This is from 10.1. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.